Okay, today is August 18th, 2025 for the regular council meeting of Stryker Village at 6 p.m. And tonight leading us in prayer is Patsy Mueller.
Dear Lord, our Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight to ask for guidance for our local leaders. We ask that you grant them wisdom and discernment as they go about the business of the village. Please grant that they may use the blessings you have given to us to better our community in order that Stryker may flourish. We pray for the safety, peace, and well-being of our police officers, our leaders, and our citizens. We ask these things for Stryker, for Ohio, for our nation, and for our world. In all these things, we give you our praise and our thanksgiving. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Tonight leading us in the pledge is Army veteran, Mr. Jim Mueller.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you both for that. I appreciate it. And roll call.
Tyler,
Here.
Ingram, Woodlock,
Here.
Malasik,
Here.
Thunder,
Here.
Cameron. Here.
Mr. Ingram did send me a message earlier today. He was not going to be able to make that, so I knew that. I think you knew that as well. So he did let us know on that. Just before we get into that next section, I want to thank those when I was not here last week. I heard that there was a couple others that it became very short, so I appreciate the willingness for this council to continue on with that. Leads us into visitors. We have our solicitor, village reporter, as well as Brian Times. And then tonight we also have Mr. David Milliman, former mayor of here, and he had asked me a few months ago if he could come and address the council for a little bit. So I was pretty excited to have a former mayor want to come back and at least share some insight or share his thoughts. So, Mr. Milliman, it is all yours.
Thank you. First of all, it's an honor to be here. And it's also an honor to have my family here. This is my sister, and that's my other sister. So there is a connection in this town. My wife, Brenda, and my brother-in-law, Jim. So there's a lot of, even though you don't know me, you know them. So, obviously I have some relationship with Mayor Beck too. So, the reason I really wanted to come back here, I'm going to preface that, I was mayor 50 years ago, and I was the youngest mayor elected in Stryker, probably still am. So it was an honor then, it's still an honor. This is my hometown. I live in Greer, South Carolina. We've moved many places since we left Stryker, but this is home. We have a plot of land out at the cemetery, so we still have some. But I just wanted to kind of go back 50 years for everybody, and if I start to bore you, call me out, okay? And I'm not going to take over my allotted time. But like I said, I filed for election back in July 50 years ago. I was elected November 4th. It worked out that I could be here now instead of waiting to November when it was actually 50 years. My opponents at that time were Everett Zediker and Jim Light. They were both 12-year veteran council members. R.J. Rex was, R.D. Rex, not R.J., R.D., Big Daddy, was the mayor then. That's who I replaced. I can tell you a little bit about that. It was probably this same table, if I recall, and he was sitting there, and I took over was sworn in. He threw the keys on the table, and that's the last time I saw him. He said, he didn't even say good luck. He just said, In other words, because I asked him to go out and get him some advice, and then you had to know RD that you weren't gonna get advice, so. Anyway, enough about that. The reason I ran back then was being that young and everything against veterans, because there was a lot of business leaders in town come to me, Ed Whitaker, Jim Preston, Dick Raker, Fred Greiser, Regis Spielvogel from the newspaper. All these were people that talked to me about running for mayor. Dick Hancock, which was another big name in the town back then. So I ran, got 65% of the vote, and that was it. Also elected at that time, and it was an honor to serve with him, that was my father, Dwayne Melliman. That was kind of unique also. He had never ran for public office, and he ran. And Bill Hancock was the other member that came on with me. Soon after that, Terry Whelan joined us. Terry was going to be here tonight, but unfortunately he was involved with an automobile accident. So, a lot of things have changed in Stryker since those 50 years, but I'll talk to you about this building to start out with. We were on the other side. This was the library. That was pretty much the difference in this building. And the building next door was the police department in that very little corner in the front. The fire department was in the front. The street and the water and sewer was in the back. In that building, everything was crammed in there, and I mean crammed. So soon after that, after election, we decided that something needed to happen, because that was one of the reasons all of us got elected, because the city that they wanted to change. They were, things were pretty stagnant for about 10 years. And I'll talk a little bit about that. So one of the changes was we need to expand, because there was already some plans, that there was gonna be EMS, because there wasn't EMS at that time. Fred Greiser drove around in his ambulance out to wherever the accidents were. So we built the building to the back, which now houses a lot of your trucks and everything, the village trucks. We didn't have enough money at that time to put a concrete floor. I drove around today, and I see you got a concrete floor in that, that's great. The other thing is I've got to mention this. There was a police car followed me around a lot today because I had South Carolina plates. But, and I can imagine why, because I was driving around back here. I was a lot of places today getting, old memories back. So anyway, the other part of that, which is interesting too, we added a second policeman when I was mayor. There was only one policeman who was working probably average of 70 hours. Became very obvious to the council and myself that it made more sense to add a policeman instead of working so many hours with a second patrolman. So, second officer. So we added a second officer at that time. That officer recently retired maybe a year or two ago from Bryan Police Department. But he left here and went to Bryan later after that. Probably another thing, we added the village administrator. That position, I'm assuming you're the village administrator. Nice to meet you. Almost an interesting thing, you'll find this very interesting. We, first of all, we had 3 people, and we had somebody quit, and we needed a somebody licensed to run the sewage plant. So we advertised, and we got somebody from Swanton, and that was our new village administrator, being much, and I really appreciate this now, it's the same as pretty much how you're running today. That person was a working supervisor with a license to run the sewage plant. Why I know a lot of this, I keep track of all of you. I watch your council meetings on your YouTube and everything else, so I know what's going on here. And I read the Facebook, what's happening in Stryker. So anyway, so with that, we eliminated the Board of Public Affairs. There was a Board of Public Affairs, so you had the group of 3 that were running that side of the house, and then you had council. There was a lot of conflict, being to be very honest with you. A lot of things weren't getting done. There wasn't a lot of supervision because there wasn't a full-time person here. There wasn't a village administrator. And I was, with my position of which, in my real job, working for General Telephone and Bryan, I was always dealing with the village administrator in Edgerton and village administrator in Montpelier and others. So I had a good idea of how they were operating, so I thought that would really work well here, and it did. So that happened. Another part that happened immediately was we eliminated mayor's court. I don't think you brought it back, have you, Joe?
What's that?
Mayor's court?
No. Actually, it was discussed
I thought-
probably 8 years ago.
Yeah.
But that's as far as it went.
Well, the difference was when I inherited, R.D. Rex had been the mayor. Now, you gotta think about this, because, and some of you may have heard stories, be old enough, and I know Jim is. But the point is, R.D. was throwing people against the lockers and down the stairways and all these good things at school, and then they'd come in here for mayor's court for speeding or whatever. Wasn't a win-win situation for most people. So, anyway, that's why one of the reasons we eliminated mayor's court, so. I talked about the village hall, police force. The other thing that was interesting at that time, the sewage treatment plant was half the size of what it is now. At that point in time, that was put in the mid-60s, the first section. That's when the sewers went into Stryker. Then, that was obviously through some federal grants and state and different things. Then it pretty much came to a halt, and there was about 20% of the city, or village, sorry, village, that still wasn't converted. In other words, it was still going into the storm sewers. So we got out contracts to do that, to finish it off. That was pretty much in the quadrant that would be over in the Methodist church area, in the Lutheran church area. That hadn't been, the sewer lines hadn't been installed. The other part of that, we doubled the size of the sewage treatment plant, so that's when it expanded out there, which also encroached on some of the golf course. When I say that, it was always village property, but the golf course was borrowing some of the village property to have the golf course. So that was quite a thing we worked out, had an agreement with the golf course, they had to sign an easement. It was actually, back then, it was number 6 hole that had to move, and the par 3 on the back was, the fence came in onto that, made it much closer, because at that point, there wasn't even a fence around the sewage treatment plant, and that's when it was put in. Just a few other things, because of the sewage plant going in, West Curtis Street was really a mess from the time the 60s was put in. So because the concrete had collapsed, where the major sewer line, I don't know how big it is, I'm assuming it's probably a 36, it might be too large, but it's a big pipe going out to the plant. The road had collapsed in several areas, but it had just been that way for several years. So we worked with the county engineer, got that taken care of. Even though we paid for it, the county did the engineering for us and did some other things. The other thing, we did an ordinance that cleaned up and where we can condemn some abandoned buildings. The worst one was at that time behind where the Greiser Funeral Home used to be on Church Street. The old Mineral Springs building was there. It was a huge building. It was a safe haven for teenagers, and lots of crazy things were going on there. So through the ordinance, we got them to tear that down, and then there was some houses built there. Frank's Sawmill used to be in town at the end of Grand Street. That's where we used to live. And so they cleaned that up, and they did that willingly. They'd already moved out of town, but the old sawmill was still there. And they got that all cleaned up, and some houses were built, including the Browns and the Millimans, who built houses in that area. So that was a nice improvement. Now, just one last thing, a couple things. The blizzard of 77 and 78 happened during our term. And it was, the worst one was 78. And just kind of give you some forethought if it happens again. The whole downtown was, you know, the drifts were 20 feet high. In other words, like Stridell, which is now Derby Cone, I believe, or whatever, the drifts were up to that roof and came out. Our house, for example, the drifts were from the roof going out. You couldn't see the cars underneath. We literally had to hire contractors to remove snow from all of downtown down to the school. And most of it got dumped back here and on the township park. But that was very costly. We ended up what would now be FEMA money, you know, those type of things. But it was a blessing that we could even get contractors in here. It was like day 4 before a V-plow from the state showed up on 191, that was a V-plow that was 12 foot wide and 7 foot high. And the other interesting thing we had then, we about 3 miles north of town, we had a lady that was ready to go to the hospital to give birth. Eventually, we got her there for a snowmobile from 3 miles, almost out by Lockport, to the Bryan Hospital. So that was interesting. During those times, we also had the bicentennial, 1976. We had a parade for that. But a bigger thing we had, and I want to share with you, was the 1978 125 year striker celebration, which you got coming up pretty soon for another big one. But here's the flyer. 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, August 25th, 26th, 27th. Started out, just example, there was a 3-day golf tournament out at the golf course, 3-day softball tournament, 3-day volleyball tournament. There was canoe races from Lockport to the 191 bridge. We had a great parade. We had 8 bands, high school bands. Dick Johnson was the band director back then. He even arranged to get 8 bands, plus we had the Root Band. 62 units in the parade. I looked it up. I have newspapers for all this stuff, but we didn't want to bring it from home because it's that fragile. But it was a great event. It was back then. We still had a Chamber of Commerce. We had the JCs and so forth. So it was a lot of people helped organize it. It was
Did
a
they have
big.
the bed races back then?
Pardon me?
Is that when they had the bed races?
Yeah,
during that
oh
time,
yeah,
up and down
we
the
had, yes,
street?
yep. And we had,
Remember those?
yeah, there was a lot of good things. Well, with the pictures you'll see, there was basically booths all along both sides of Main Street here, you know, going for 2 blocks. So it was a lot of activity. This is my certificate in case you let you know that I really was elected.
I couldn't tell you where mine's at.
Right.
It's his
This
frame
is a picture
on the
of
wall.
my father and I getting sworn in and so forth, and Bill. This is when we were all sworn in. So.
Was that you with the dark hair and the mustache in the middle?
Pardon me?
Was that you with the dark hair and the mustache in the middle?
No, nope, that's Bill Hancock. This is me when I was about a lot thinner. But anyway, if anybody has any questions or anything, I'll give you a minute, or whatever you want.
When did you graduate from Stryker? 69?
68.
68,
Yeah,
okay.
68.
Yeah.
Didn't think I'd get asked that question, but I had to answer. What happened too, the other thing, just so everybody understands, is I was with General Telephone with GT and then ended up being Verizon. At my last year in office as mayor, I got transferred from JobWise to Bellevue, Ohio. So I resigned, and Wayne Nossinger was the president of council at that time, so he became the mayor for that short term before I left. So otherwise I would have continued on for whatever, but because I truly enjoyed being the mayor, being part of council. So, but that was the major things that went on then.
We're gonna come to the budget.
Oh, yeah. You had a budget meeting tonight. What is your budget right now? I mean, the top number.
Yeah, that's the boss. Oh, put on the spot.
Right around 3/4?
Oh, not quite that high. I'd say
So there's a couple numbers I gotta throw out that would be interesting.
Okay. Our total budget is, should have this written down. I know it by heart. 1.522.
Okay.
So one and a half.
The budget in 1979 was an astounding $225,000. Now, you can equate that into today's money, because here's the other thing. Even though the council, the town felt the council, we needed to change. What we inherited, they had the equivalent today of almost $2 million in the bank. That's how we were able to continue the sewage expansion and all that, and do some things, build that building and so forth. So they did have a lot of money set aside. So it was $330,000 back then. That was a lot of money. But that equates out to about 1.9 now.
I can tell the council, we do not have that much sitting in carryover. Just in case you want to know, we don't have that much. We're doing okay, but yeah, we're climbing back up. We're not to that point.
No, that was a lot.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. It was obviously more, when the budget was of 225, so.
I'll tell you, at the end of July, going into August, we have 1.3
Okay.
in the bank.
That's good. Yeah, it was, I even have the breakdown of the 225, but it's in a newspaper article, but I still have from the local paper.
You covered council at that time?
I wasn't born.
Just checking.
Yeah, well, how many people, okay, 50 years ago, how many people were, most of you may have been born, but you wouldn't remember me. But
I was 2.
I remember the blizzard. I remember the blizzard.
Yeah, I was gonna tell you, and then cut me off too.
Okay.
But
I'll cut you off.
the day of the blizzard, okay, so the blizzard continued on. We all gathered right over at the fire department. Probably a dozen firemen and myself and a couple other councilmen, that type of thing. First day, we walked out of the carryout to get some food, walked back, because you couldn't do anything. So it wasn't until the third day, basically, that we could do any plowing or anything. So it was the fifth day when we brought in all the heavy equipment to start moving all the snow. So it was a long process. It just didn't happen overnight. Anyway, that's all I got.
What year did you resign
79.
to move?
July 79.
Yeah, so was that 4-year term?
Yeah, I
So you
was
did-
I served for 3.5 years, basically.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Does council have any questions? It's kind of interesting to hear some of that stuff, because I was pretty small when a lot of that, I was 8 years old and during the blizzard, but yeah, it was pretty interesting. The names that you threw out, oh yeah. Remember many of those names. Terry Wheeland, interesting, with him serving with you, we actually came on council together at the same time. And then there's a couple railroad stories that he has, or I have on him, that he threw me under the bus a couple of times. But, yeah, interesting. Anything from council? Okay. Did you guys want to do any pictures of the group over there?
We can? Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah, you want up here?
Yeah.
Sure.
Is this where, did you sit at this spot too? We can get them all around you.
Well-
We'll get you right around you.
Yeah, but the table was over there, and it was set, a little different, but yeah.
Well, let's get you up here in front of the flags and stuff.
'Cause this was pretty big, and you couldn't.
This is, remember what I said, you're gonna thank me later?
Come on, sisters. Brother-in-law. Okay.
Aunt Patsy,
Come on.
All right.
Brenda.
I'll go with you.
This is a story.
Bob Everly was the first administrator. That was his name.
Yes. Thank you. That's why.
You're welcome. I can,
So I knew most people wouldn't know
Come on,
him,
old man.
but till they knew who my sisters were.
Still got me?
You will back out of your way.
Brenda used to work for the newspaper.
I did.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
This will be on the nightly news tonight.
Yeah, right.
Channel 11.
I've been on the news for worse things.
I think that made you smile.
All right. 1, 2, 3. Good, thank you.
So the really nice thing is we also have you now on YouTube.
Good.
It'll be up tomorrow around
Where you
noon.
gonna be?
Yes. I mean, what town? Where? Yes, I am.
Good talk, David.
I'm not sure, I just started.
Oh, okay.
I think we do.
It's just outside Greenville. I had to get you in there.
Thank you for coming and
I have to
talking
go
to
get
us.
my eyes.
How long were you in town for?
Actually, we were in town, went to lunch with my sisters and Jim, and we're leaving now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're gonna do it.
I was gonna say,
Kind
if
of,
you're gonna be in town for a day or two, I wouldn't mind just sitting down and talking about some of the old things in Stryker that you sort of touched on, but I.
well,
no.
they'll always call me, they've got my number,
Okay.
seriously, so, no, anybody ever has any questions or whatever,
I got Mondays.
try to answer them.
Because I can remember when the sewer lines were all put in and all that kind of stuff.
That was a mess.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
was.
Curtis Street was a mess.
And the power plant out back, as I understand, was sold, when that was sold, some of that money put the sewer lines and things like that in.
Because that was all done in 60, most of it 65, 66.
Yeah, yeah.
But,
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, all of you, it's a, privilege to do what you do, and thank you all for that. I mean, you don't get a lot of money for it, so.
Yeah,
Thank you
okay.
and have safe travels.
Be careful. Okay, that leads us into the next one of prior minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from the regular meeting of 7/21 of 25? 7/21 of 25. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Is there any additions or corrections prior to the vote? Roll call.
Whitlock,
Yes.
Walasick,
Yes.
Benner,
Yes.
Cameron. I wasn't here, so I'll abstain. Sorry. Potter,
Yes.
Okay, with that, it's the finance report dated 8/14 of 2025. Is there a motion to accept?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
second.
Beth, prior to vote, is there some things that you want to point out?
Um,
You've already talked about the 1.3.
No. Let's spread amongst all funds. To summarize from the last council meeting, the revenue we brought in was $105,300, and expenses were $76,685. So we had a good period of not spending too much. Couple things we're still waiting on is the dump truck. We haven't got the bill yet for putting the actual dump truck on. and some other things I'm gonna let Alan talk about when his report comes up.
Any questions for Beth on the finance report?
Roll call.
Walsick,
Yes.
Benner,
Yes.
Cameron. Yes. Potter,
Yes.
Whitlock.
Yes.
Leads us into the committee report, we had a finance committee meeting prior to, that started at 5:30, so obviously we don't have the minutes yet for that one. But we will have that one ready, there's a few items, just kind of getting us prepared for that time of year, when we start talking about the budgets and some different things that we can do. So those minutes will come, next month on that, but we did have a committee meeting. I'm assuming we're gonna need one prior to the next meeting as well. Is that a 5 o'clock?
Yeah, probably.
So the finance committee, are you all available to be here an hour earlier for that day?
It will be September the 15th.
Is there any difficulties with any of the finance committee people? And again, it's open to everyone, however, the finance ones are the ones that have to be there for it.
I'm not sure, I'll have to check.
Okay. So let's do the tentatively, we will plan on doing that unless we hear differently that we cannot make that work. So September 15th, we'll go at 5 o'clock for the finance unless you hear differently or you guys get with us to say that not available and then we'll make that change. Communications, this is going to go into the IT audit letter. Beth, I'll let you run with that one.
I put the letter in your packets for the IT audit, the memo. Just wanted to touch on it. Most of the things have been taken care of, corrected. We'll be spending some money with Core Communications. We have a second server backup added off-site. We have some finger print files added to the computers for authentication. And just some tech things here and there. We'll be moving the server to a locked room once we get it updated. So you'll still just see some money spent to Core Communications. Just wanted to make you aware.
Any questions on the letter or any of the items that were in there that you had a concern with? I'm gonna jump down to letter C, the WEDCO updates, so go ahead and bring us up to speed on that one.
I just wanted to make you aware, we talked in the finance committee meeting about possible residential TIFs in municipalities and taking steps to see that Stryker can be eligible for that. So that's just what one of the big things that WEDCO's been being involved with, is trying to organize that. And I know there was a meeting a few weeks ago that Vicki and Alan attended to represent us and get info for that.
Which for both of you, thank you for going to that. When I first seen it, it was Sunday night. I wasn't able to go, and then I did see there was a date change. However, I was then thinking once later that it was Wednesday night and I was free, so I get ready to go and I find out that it was actually Monday night. So I was all jacked up for that 3-day period right there. So I appreciate you guys going. Definitely some good information for what we talked about earlier, and hopefully something happens there. But I appreciate you guys going to that meeting. Anything else on the WEDCO side? Then I'll go to letter D there, the free household hazardous waste recycling event. This is August 19th, from 2 to 6, Williams County Fairground. They are accepting a whole lot of things that you can do there, that you should not be throwing in your trash can. However, this is a place that you can do it at. There is a list of items here. You have anywhere from paint, smoke detectors, batteries, propane tanks. However, I assume there's a lady here in town that would love to have those propane tanks. I don't know where she gets them all, but she goes all over the place, and does an amazing job with her art with that. The other item that I skipped over is council seats available in 2025. With that, there are 4 seats that do come up for council seats. Remember, every 2 years there is elections for that. So this year, there are 4 city or village, I'm doing what David did, village council seats available. And then the following year, there are 2 seats, council and 1 mayor, that will be open in a couple of years. But on this one right now, I believe that there are two entries right now for the 4 seats. So with that, I think we need to discuss what we're looking at doing with that. What we've done in the past is do letters of interest of individuals. None of this will happen before the election or even this calendar year. But I would like to start seeing letters of interest come in prior to, what was that date that we were talking about, December? Before December 1. So we have September, October, November. We have 3 months of being able to receive letters of interest. From that point, what we want to do is be able to get those out to the council members. And there are 2 options. The first option is, once it comes January 1, that new calendar year, you guys have 30 days to make that selection. And then after the 30 days, it reverts back to this chair. It's been done a couple different ways where council has made that selection. It's gone, I think we went 30 days once, and then it flipped over to this chair. And then there was one occasion where it was like a huge amount of individuals. I think all 4 spots were open, and the sitting council members pushed that directly to me. They waived that 30 days and said, we don't want to do it because we were also appointed. And they pushed that to me, and then I actually still have the questions. I have a list of questions that actually some of you may have been part of that. Then I went through and I asked the same questions to every single person and wrote down the answers, and the selection was made based off of that. But just so everyone is aware, there are 4 seats open. There are 2 individuals that will be on the ballot, so that leaves 2 spots open. So if you have an interest, please put in a letter of interest that you can address that to myself or just village council, and we will accept those. Those will be accepted for September, October, and November. 1st of December will be that cutoff, and then we will share that with council. And then we'll move from there on exactly how council wants to fill those seats. Okay? All right. We had nothing on the legislative side, so that pushes us over to the village officials. I will start with police chief.
All right. I just see school's back in session, so normal every year stuff. Since the school right now doesn't provide crossing guards, in the morning you'll see our presence when we're available and officers available. We usually sit there and monitor traffic and hopefully slow down traffic, and when need be, try to help the children cross the crosswalks. We'll be monitoring especially the speed in the school zone, people on their cell phones, improper use of them, and people that are failing to yield for the pedestrians in the crosswalks. So we'll be keeping an eye out mostly for those. Next, I don't know if you guys seen already the speed trailer over there on the Defiance Street. The State Highway Patrol let us borrow that. We'll have that until the end of September before we return it. So that'll just be free. I could put it around different sites in the village. If anybody has a particular place they want to put it at, just let me know. We can find somewhere to put it if you guys want. And then lastly, I do have an officer, Patrolman Skyver. She'll be in a 40-hour class for CIT training that's held in Archbold. That's crisis intervention training. So looking forward to that being completed. That's a pretty important one. Other than that, not much.
Anything for chief? I do appreciate, it seems like you have quite a few people doing some of the courses and doing some training. I appreciate that. I do.
Thanks.
Anything that we can do to help is huge.
Thanks. And just so you know, if I add on that, that's usually paid for through our CPT funds. So that's free training.
Okay. Beth? Okay. Alan?
Yes. We are getting a lift station for the sewer pump repaired on Ellis Street. It's been kind of going downhill, so we're gonna replace some plumbing in there, which is down in a 25-foot deep hole, so we are not going in as village employees, but contractor will be doing that, replacing some piping and fittings for, I have a price of $18,000 to do that, so that will be done hopefully within the next month here. We did have a complaint on unsafe tree, so I went out and checked it, and per ordinance, I contacted the owner, and they're not doing anything about it, so I did send a certified letter to them, and they have 15 days per ordinance to give me an answer of what they're gonna do, when they're gonna do it, and if not, then we will take it down as a village. We will pay for that to be taken down, and then it will be billed to them, and if they do not pay it, it will be reverted to their taxes. So that, have to go through the process on that. Our dump truck did make it to the shop in Kalida, so we will be, hopefully it'll be back in the next week or so. Haven't heard anything recently. The old one will then be put up, once it's ready to go, put up for sealed bids, and it will have to be advertised for 5 weeks, and that will be advertised on social media. And the truck will be setting out here. We're gonna set a minimum bid price on it to start it, so going by Blue Book, looking it up and see what it's valued at, it'll be at the lower end.
Did you say you had interest in it already?
Yes, there are several people interested, had questions asked about it, so, but it'll be setting out front of the maintenance building here, and with the information on it where they can send in sealed bids, drop them here at the office, and it will be available to drive around the parking lot, or one of the employees can go with them for a ride, test drive it, so. But that won't happen until the new one's on the road, so it's still in use. Other than that, the guys have been busy mowing and brush and general maintenance.
When, and I know we're early, when are you looking at leaves? I know it's only August.
Mid-October is the plan, early to mid-October, so.
How were you on that box truck? Didn't we have a pump or a fan or something?
Yeah, it's all been replaced and repaired, so we should be all set. We'll get it out early and get everything hooked up and make sure it works.
And then the 4-letter word of snow, are we all ready for that as well?
Well, we will be getting there, yes. So,
Anything we need to purchase or anything?
not as of right now, no. Should be good.
However, I will take the cooler temperatures of
Yes.
the winter time. Okay, so with that, I will start on this side.
I did
I'm
put
gonna steal your pen.
on our social media, just a reminder, take trash cans up from the road once they've been picked up, as well as the big trash not to put out until it's supposed to be picked up. I've seen several that are just leaving the trash cans at the road, and couches and other things left out for weeks upon end, so those do need to be taken care of. I was told I was running the Stryker HOA, it's not that, I just want Stryker to look nice, and, you know, we have ordinances for a reason, so we need to follow those. Along with parking, making sure that you're parking appropriately. I've seen a few people parking parallel to the road when they shouldn't be, and I've talked to a few and they park the right way, so it's usually not too much of an issue. So, that's all I have.
Okay. Sarah?
I will be available September 15th at 5 o'clock. So it's a go on that.
Since you were the first one to let us know, you bring in the chocolates that day, so we're good.
Okay. On the 15th of
You're good. Okay, good. Sir?
I was contacted with a person of interest on pools above and in-ground fencing in our community, our village, and I was just wondering if we're staying within our ordinances up there, because I haven't read anything on that one. I also might want to check that out, at least give it a check.
Chief Mendez and I have been
Okay.
aware of that and checking out fencing on pools.
All right.
Is there a difference, the above ground and in ground on the
Yes.
fencing?
With the fence, there's.
Is that where you're getting
Yeah.
it?
Yes.
Yeah, I
yes,
had
yes.
Beth look it up for
Above
me.
ground, and our ordinances does not require fencing, and ground does.
Okay.
So if that's,
Okay,
I was wondering if
that's-
that's where you're getting it, yeah.
compliant.
that's-
Yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to get at least bring it to people's attention for that aspect of it. That's all I got for right now.
Okay, good.
I guess I'm still curious about the OTP plant, how things are going out there. Are we still waiting on Toledo Edison? Is that what it is?
That's as far as I know, yes.
Yeah, I figured that, because that was the last report.
That's for the I wanna say grow facility,
Nature's work.
Nature's Work.
Nature,
Thank
I
you.
call it OTP, just for,
We're waiting on the Tim the Tool Time more power,
yeah, okay.
maybe without the grunt.
And then I have one other question, out here on, is it Ellis Street makes the jog, out here behind,
Okay.
who owns that big blue tank that sits out there on the corner right at the jog? Is that Stridell? It says Stridell on it, I think, or is it?
That's part of that property, I believe that's the Jaggers. I
Okay.
believe that's part of their stuff.
Because I went by there the other day and I was thought, somebody really needs to do something with that.
I don't know
It
if
needs
that one
painted or
is
something, you know,
in or outside of the limit.
that I'm not sure, that's why I was
It's
asking.
it's really, really close, because the sign is this way, and the building's over here. So that sign is running east-west, and that property is just south of that, just a little bit. So I'm not
It
sure.
might be outside.
That line is really, really close.
What is that tank even, the purpose of it, Dave?
We had the guy that probably could have answered that here earlier. What, do you know what was in that tank? What they used that for, Stridell?
No idea.
So, as far as we know, it just sits empty.
Oh, it is empty, yeah, the side of it's actually open on one side.
I know at one time an owner of that whole property thought that would be a neat office building, or an office.
For what?
I don't think it's big enough for the office they
No. I was just curious because it is kind of becoming
That backside.
in state of
that
repair,
inside.
it needs some work on it.
I'm not sure if that's inside or outside.
Okay,
I
well
know
then-
it's very, very close.
All
I'm
right.
not sure how that line runs.
Yeah.
Good question. You don't have anything? Okay. I'll go back around again for things that may have.
I do have one thing I forgot. If you noticed, the building on North Depot Street
Yes.
has been removed, cleaned up. All the utilities have been disconnected and properly sealed. So,
Do we know when the other two are coming? Because my understanding, the last I knew, they were coming at the same time.
It's a
a
different,
different
it's
contractor.
a different contractor, and I was told by Todd Burkholder, it's supposed to be about October 1st.
Okay. October 1st, so we're about 5 weeks out. Okay.
And it's not the same contractor as the one on Depot.
I mean, we've been, I think we've always been, I would say, understanding on some things, but that one is starting to grow. We're starting to hear some things on that one. So, okay, 1st of October, that's good.
That's kind of what I was told by Land Bank. I was also contacted by, Maumee Valley, which is like administering the grant monies for the Land Bank, that they're looking at some monies available for the landowner next to the building on Depot, the old bar, to, yeah, to
The last call.
redo the side. There's monies available for them to, help it with the weather, material to keep it from deteriorating more, to make it look nicer or whatever, so they were asking if the village had any stipulation on what kind of material. And I said, no, in our ordinances, we don't, I mean, we prefer to see something matching kind of the
Right.
building look, and, they would have to get a building permit, but other than that, we don't have stipulations. But that sounds like that side will be,
Worked on?
done with grant funding.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I've had a few questions with those two buildings, and then what winds up coming, you may have touched on it, but at least triggered a thought in my head when you were talking, is then a water park type thing came up again on social media. I will tell you that the village right now does not have any intent of a water park for children's, like some of the other. Some of the concerns that we have is the funds to build it and then to maintain it. The perfect spot, and I'm not trying to throw another group under the bus or anything, but there is another spot within Stryker that would be great for that type of thing. But they may run into a funding issue as well. There was lots of chatter out there on social media about that, as well as the sidewalk. It seems like it all came up at the same time. The sidewalk fund, there is no sidewalk fund. There is a safety grant. It is a or a safety pedestrian fund, thank you. That is the $2 on every bill. The safety fund is many times goes towards a sidewalk repair, because that's a pedestrian side. We've also used it for tree safety, where potentially could come down a pedestrian, and we've also used it for lighting. So when people talk about the sidewalk fund, it is really not sidewalk. However, we do have a fund that sidewalks can be funded from. Majority of the time, and I think this was about 3 months ago, I rattled off how we have spent that money over like the last 5 years. We've used a lot of that money to help increase the safety of pedestrians throughout the village. So I wanted to just throw that out there. There is no sidewalk fund. Sorry. Beth, did you have anything additional, Beth?
I will say, the first thing that always comes up when we say that is, why does it say sidewalk on my bill? That's because there is no code for pedestrian safety. It's pedestrian safety / sidewalk, and it just shows sidewalk. Just to answer that to start with, because that's gonna be the next question I know when people come in.
Yeah. So that's popped up again.
Yeah, it is how it's coded in the auditor's software. It doesn't allow me
To change it,
to
right?
change it. There is no safety pedestrian code. or
So
wording.
we have that in our ordinance. It's out there. So, okay, thank you, Beth. And I apologize, I skipped over our solicitor back there. You haven't spoke up, so we haven't got ourselves in trouble on anything I've said. We're good. Chief,
I don't have anything.
okay, one last time?
On the houses that are deteriorating.
Yes.
Is there any more action on that?
I
know you guys are working on it.
I can tell you the one directly behind me, a roof went on it. There were some people there this morning. There were some people just recently there, it might have been this morning, they had a couple trucks there, and I seen some lumber. I'm not sure what all they have done, but I know they replaced the roof. And then with the sale, with that one, they requested an extension, because once it's sold, then it basically is starting over. Is that correct, Chief? That time period starts over?
We let them, I was contacted by their attorney, and nicely put, they will get to it, and they'll continue to make improvements as fast as they can. They asked for extension of
Originally 90
September,
days.
yeah, end of September. We gave Mayor Beck gave them to the end of August to make start improvements. I don't know, I'd have to go with the solicitor to see what, as long as they're making improvements, are we able to act on it? Would that be wisely of us? I think we could have a good relationship as long as they're doing better than the past 5 years of what we had gotten out of anyone on the other property before they took over, so.
So continued process or progress has been happening.
I just wanted to ask since you kind of triggered me.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's why we go around second time. And then I know there was another one that just recently sold, and I have not checked on that. But, yeah, there's definitely some things moving, not light speed, but at least some movement finally.
I'm good.
Good?
Just as I was thinking about Fall Fest, I thought maybe I could touch on a couple things about
Okay.
that. If you guys are interested in hearing about
Absolutely.
that. So we did set the date November 1st. Last year the event was 2 to 5. This year we're going to extend it 1 to 5 just because this stuff is expensive to put on, and then it all costs the same whether you do it for 3 hours or 4 hours. So, you know, for me, I feel like if we were to extend it from 1 to 5, just work out a little better. We are going to do the parade before Fall Fest starts, so the parade is going to line up somewhere around noon, and we're going to send it around 12:30. And this is going to be like a kickoff of Fall Fest. So Fall Fest will be open, it'll be ready to go as soon as the parade's over with. Everybody can go down to Fall Fest and enjoy themselves. It's going to look pretty similar to last year. We have our food vendors, our monster truck, our helicopters. Parkview Regional Medical Center has graciously loaned us their air ambulance helicopter. It's going to be at the event, and it's also going to lead our parade. So I think that's going to be pretty awesome. We're going to have our same helicopter vendor that we had last year out here giving rides, and then we're going to do the candy drop as well.
How many pounds do you know the candy was done last year?
400.
400 pounds of candy?
400 pounds of candy.
lot of candy.
And the projection for this year?
400, we're at the max. So we can't, we literally, like, with the weight and balance of the aircraft, we're at max capacity. Unless I lose 50 pounds, we could add another 50 pounds, so.
I'm thinking there's a whole lot of kids that say lose it.
On the brighter side of that, it's a little bit cheaper for us because the candy is actually very expensive when you start to add up 400 pounds of candy.
I don't like to buy like a candy bar these days because of the cost.
So I have an idea, you know, while we're talking about the cost of the candy, you know, we're gonna try to figure out some things. I have been in talks with some people about making some candy donations, so hopefully
Nice.
that's that happens for us. Something else that I'm thinking is I have been in contact with Sue Miller from the Heritage Council, and originally they were going to help organize the parade portion.
Okay.
And they're just unable to do that. They have some medical issues amongst their team. So we are looking for some volunteers if possible. I do have 2 high schoolers that are ready to step in right now to kind of like help out on the parade as much as they can. But it would be nice to have somebody with some previous experience on getting them lined up down near Quadco, or I don't even know where they were lining up, you know, previously. I was always just a bystander watching the parade go by. I don't know where.
They would be set up at Jagger Cones.
Yeah.
They allowed us to be in the parking lot there, and that's where a lot of things were staged and organized from that location.
Yeah.
So Jagger Cone was extremely kind to let us use their area.
So on the volunteer side, is it something that I've been thinking about quite a bit lately, just because it's a lot of work to do an event like this, and don't really get a lot of volunteers to help, pick up. It's usually my family and I carrying 27 trash cans from the park back to City Hall until 3 o'clock in the morning. So it's, some volunteers would be really nice. If anybody has any ideas or suggestions on how to actually obtain some volunteers, that would be helpful. We do have a softball team that is committed, helping to clean up the shelter house. So that's one less thing I have to worry about. But it would be nice if we could figure out some things to help get the rest of the park cleaned up that evening.
If you have like specific areas that you're looking for,
Mhm.
if you could break it down to that and say, we need this,
Yep.
that might help.
Yep, and that's what I've kind of started to do now. So,
Okay, good.
we have the shelter house taken care of. We have the parade kind of taken care of. I think we'll get it done regardless with whether they're high schoolers or not. But if we could get some volunteers who have actually been a part of this, setting up and organizing that end of it, that would be really helpful for me.
Chief, are you gonna be good on that day for the parade?
November
Will you
1st.
need anything in addition to kind of shut us down for that half hour, 40 minutes?
Are you just planning on having it directly at the park then?
All the Fall Fest?
The Fall Fest?
Yeah, and then just the parade, just how we typically do it, send it from Quadco to the end of, wherever I think they typically go to the sport complex.
You
No,
just
they
give us-
stop at the.
At the
School.
school, they turn at the school.
Yep, they turn right there at the school.
You just give us an outline and I'll work with Al. We can
Yeah.
figure out, close the roads down and during the parade, we'll open them back up. Other than that, just let me know where you're planning on parking everybody.
Yeah.
And then we work something out, but we'll be okay.
Yeah, so, it should be a pretty good time though. I mean, I have one more thing, kind of up my sleeve for this thing. I kind of want it to be a surprise, but it's gonna be pretty fun
It's
for.
not a water park, is it?
No, but
Okay.
speaking of that, I was thinking, while you were talking about the water, the splash pad, I think, in the spirit of a splash pad, I think I'll rent the Archbold pool a couple times under the Fall Fest and have a couple fundraising events, at the Archbold pool next year, so put that on Facebook.
One of the things I did hear about the Fall Fest, and this is where I want to say thank you and sorry to the fire department. I don't know if you've heard this one yet, but when we moved the Fall Fest to the 1st, that is typically when they always do their big feather party, which is on that exact same night. They've been doing it that way for years, and I heard about it here just within the last 10 days. But what they did is, my understanding, they have moved theirs by 1 week, not to conflict. Again, I didn't realize it, I don't think anyone here realized it, but it was going to be an overlap on that, and they went ahead and moved theirs, just so everyone is aware. So, number one, to the fire department, it's not intentional, but number two, thank you for doing that. And they're looking for max support as well from that.
Yeah.
So it was nothing done intentionally, but I do appreciate them working to make that adjustment. It's one that I didn't even consider at the time, so we're good there.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else on that?
No.
So that went around twice. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, good meeting. Thank you. Thank you.